We live in a world that feels, well, completely interconnected, right? Information, stuff, people, it all zips across the planet in what feels like an instant. But here's the thing. This single connected globe, it's a super recent invention. So that begs the question, what did the world look like before all that? Before 1492, humanity was basically living in two entirely separate parallel universes. When you think about big turning points in history, the voyages of Columbus are right up there at the top. But to really get how massive that moment was, we've got to rewind. We need to see a snapshot of the world right before it happened. We're talking about a world where two halves of humanity had been growing and changing for thousands of years, in complete and total isolation from each other. And really, that's the heart of our story today. You've got these two distinct webs of human life just packed with incredible empires, bustling cities, rich cultures, and neither one had a clue the other existed. So, what we're going to do is take a quick lightning tour of this disconnected planet, right on the brink of its first big collision. All right, let's kick things off with our first stop, Song Dynasty, China. So picture this. It's around the year 1200. If you were looking for the undisputed center of the world, I mean, in terms of wealth, technology, just sheer numbers of people, this was it. No contest. China was, to put it simply, in a league of its own. I mean, just look at that number, 120 million people. That is just a staggering figure for the time. And what's behind it? A massive agricultural revolution. Turns out, a new strain of fast-ripening rice from Vietnam let the population literally double in just a few centuries. It's a simple formula, right? More food means more people, and all those people, well, they fueled the growth of absolutely massive cities. But hey, this wasn't just about size. It was all about sophistication. I mean, think about this for a second. They had the world's first printed books that makes knowledge cheaper, way more accessible. They invented gunpowder, a technology that would, well, reshape warfare forever. And get this, they were using paper money in this incredibly commercialized economy centuries before Europe even had a clue. And this image right here, it just brilliantly shows you what that life was like. This isn't just a pretty painting. It's a window into the bustling, sophisticated city life of Song China. I mean, cities like the capital, Hangzhou, had over 1 million people. When Marco Polo showed up, he was just floored. He called it, and I'm quoting here, beyond dispute the finest and noblest city in the world. But, this golden age definitely had a darker side, especially for women. It was really an era of sharp contrasts. On one hand, you have these incredible cultural achievements, but on the other, you have the rise of foot binding. This agonizing practice became a symbol of female beauty and eroticism, especially for the elite. It physically enforced this tightening patriarchal view that, frankly, valued female weakness and confinement. Okay, let's head west now, over to the Islamic world. Now, politically, the old Arab Empire, the Abbasid Caliphate, was pretty fractured, kind of declining. But the religion and the culture of Islam itself, oh, they were more vibrant and were expanding more than ever. This timeline really shows a dramatic power shift. So, starting around the year 1000, you have Turkic-speaking peoples from Central Asia moving into the Middle East. At first, they were slave soldiers, but pretty soon, they became the rulers themselves. Then, after the Mongols just wreck Baghdad in 1258, a brand new, super formidable Turkic power rises from the ashes, the Ottoman Empire. And here's the key term to understand this shift: Sultan. When Turkic rulers started calling themselves Sultan, it was a huge signal that a new group of people had taken the reins. The Arabs, they had initiated the faith, but now the Turks were its main champions, its carriers, spreading Islam to brand new frontiers. And what's fascinating is that this expansion had totally different results depending on where you look. Take India, for example. Turkish conquests did establish Muslim rule, but Islam always stayed a minority faith inside this incredibly deep-rooted Hindu civilization. Now contrast that with Spain. Muslim al-Andalus created this amazing golden age of cultural mixing, but it all ended with a total Christian reconquest and, yep, the expulsion of both Muslims and Jews in 1492. Okay, shifting gears again, let's talk about Europe. Now, it's a really big mistake to think of Christendom back then as just one single thing. It was actually two very distinct worlds, and they were on completely opposite paths. And the contrast between them is, well, it's stark. In the east, you've got the ancient, thousand-year-old Byzantine Empire. It's the heir to Rome, sure, but it's in a slow, terminal decline. Then you look to the west, and you see this whole new civilization clawing its way up from the rubble of the old Roman Empire. It's fragmented, it's chaotic, sure, but it's also incredibly dynamic and looking to expand. And you can almost feel this difference when you look at these images. On one side, you have the magnificent, almost defensive glory of a Byzantine church. It's all about preserving this ancient legacy. And on the other, you've got the raw, violent, outward energy of the Western Crusades. It's a civilization literally pushing its borders outward with both sword and cross. All right, for our final stop, we have to take a leap. We have to cross a conceptual ocean and step into that other world, that separate world, the Americas. And let me be clear, this was not some land of scattered, simple tribes. No way. This was a continent brimming with complex societies, massive cities, and really powerful empires. And these civilizations had seriously deep roots. I mean, centuries before the Aztecs were even a thing, the Maya were building these stunning, monumental cities like Tikal. We're talking between 250 and 900 CE. They developed advanced math, astronomy, and the most complex writing system in the Americas. It was a completely independent tradition of high civilization.
Amazing.
Now, by the 1400s, the Americas were dominated by two giants, but they were super different from each other. In Mesoamerica, you had the Aztec Empire. It was a more loosely controlled tribute state with about 5 to 6 million people. But then, way down south in the Andes, the Inca Empire was something else entirely. It was way bigger, about 10 million people, and it was highly centralized, running a huge territory from its capital, Cusco. Of course, you can't really talk about the Aztecs without talking about human sacrifice. It was absolutely central to how they saw the world. But it wasn't just random cruelty. There was a terrifying cosmic logic to it. You see, their sun god, Huitzilopochtli, was in a constant battle against darkness. And to keep the sun strong enough to win that battle every day, to literally prevent the end of the world, he needed the life-giving force found in human blood. So the Aztec state's sacred mission was to wage war, capture prisoners, and provide that secret fuel. Okay, so let's zoom out and pull all this together. We've just taken a whirlwind tour of a planet full of dynamic, complex, and really powerful human civilizations that were, for all intents and purposes, completely and totally isolated from one another. Just let that sink in for a minute. The brilliant bureaucrats of Song China, the incredible engineers building the Inca Empire, the fierce warriors of the Ottoman Turks, the savvy merchants in Venice. They were all alive at the same time. But for the people in the Americas and the people in Afro-Eurasia, they might as well have been on different planets. This was just the normal state of things, the human condition, for thousands of years. But all of that was about to change, dramatically. Those two completely separate streams of human history were on a direct collision course. A handful of ships from what was then a pretty fragmented peripheral corner of Afro-Eurasia were about to bring them crashing together. So the ultimate question is, what happens when these two worlds, after thousands and thousands of years apart, finally meet?